A quiet neighborhood. In the heart of a bustling city, nestled between busy streets and towering buildings, lay a quiet neighborhood known as Maple Grove. The streets were lined with quaint houses, each with its own character, and gardens bursting with colorful flowers. It was a place where neighbors greeted each other warmly, and children played freely in the parks. However, beneath this picturesque facade lay stories of struggle, resilience, and unexpected connections waiting to unfold. Meet Mrs. Eleanor Thompson. At the center of this community lived Mrs. Eleanor Thompson, an elderly woman in her late 70s. Eleanor was known for her sharp wit and kind heart. With silver hair neatly tied back in a bun and glasses perched on her nose. She had spent decades nurturing her garden and volunteering at the local library. Her days were filled with routine, morning walks, tending to her flowers, and reading books that transported her to different worlds. But as time wore on, Eleanor found herself increasingly isolated. Her husband had passed away several years ago, leaving a void in her life that she struggled to fill. While she cherished her memories of their life together, loneliness crept in like an unwelcome guest. She often sat on her porch, watching the world go by, reminiscing about the laughter that once filled her home. A new perspective. One sunny afternoon, while sipping tea on her porch, Eleanor noticed a group of children playing in the park across the street. Their laughter echoed through the air, and for a moment she felt a pang of nostalgia for her own grandchildren who lived far away. She longed for connection, but felt hesitant to reach out. An unfamiliarity had settled over her as the world around her changed. Eleanor's thoughts drifted as she watched a young girl sitting alone on a bench nearby. The girl appeared to be around 12 years old, with dark skin and curly hair pulled back into a ponytail. She wore worn-out clothes that seemed too big for her small frame. The girl's eyes were downcast as she fiddled with something in her hands, a tattered book. The girl's name, Maya. The girl was Maya Johnson, a bright and resourceful child who had faced more challenges than many adults. Maya lived with her single mother in a small apartment not far from Maple Grove. They struggled to make ends meet after her mother lost her job due to health issues. Despite their hardships, Maya remained hopeful and resilient, often finding solace in books that transported her to magical worlds far removed from her own reality. That day, Maya had ventured to the park, seeking refuge from the chaos at home. She loved reading under the shade of the trees. It was an escape from worry and responsibility. As she flipped through the pages of her book, she became lost in its story, a tale of adventure that sparked her imagination. A fateful encounter. As Eleanor continued to observe Maya from her porch, she couldn't help but feel a sense of concern wash over her. The girl seemed so alone, an image that tugged at Eleanor's heartstrings. Memories flooded back of when she had been a young mother herself. She remembered how important it was for children to feel seen and valued. However, as Eleanor contemplated reaching out to Maya, doubt crept in. What would she say? Would the girl even want to talk to an old woman? In that moment of hesitation, Eleanor's mind raced with assumptions based on appearances. She began to wonder if Maya might be homeless or struggling in ways she couldn't comprehend. Misunderstandings. Eleanor's thoughts spiraled into worry as she recalled stories she had heard about children living on the streets or begging for money. She thought about how society often judged those who appeared different or less fortunate without knowing their stories. In that moment of uncertainty, Eleanor made an assumption based solely on Maya's appearance. Maybe I should offer her some food, Eleanor muttered to herself as she rose from her chair. She looks like she could use it. With determination in her heart, but trepidation in her mind, Eleanor walked toward the park carrying a small bag filled with homemade cookies, her signature treat that always brought smiles to those who tasted them. Crossing paths. As Eleanor approached Maya's bench, she noticed how absorbed the girl was in her book. It was as if nothing else existed in that moment except for the words on the page. Clearing her throat softly, Eleanor said gently, "Excuse me, dear." Maya looked up abruptly, startled by the sudden intrusion into her world of imagination. Her wide eyes met Eleanor's gaze. There was surprise mixed with caution reflected back at her. "Oh, hi," Maya replied hesitantly, unsure of what this encounter would bring. Eleanor smiled warmly, despite feeling nervous inside. "I couldn't help but notice you sitting here all alone," she said kindly. "I brought some cookies if you'd like one." Maya hesitated for a moment, before glancing at the bag in Eleanor's hand. A flicker of curiosity crossed her face as she considered accepting this stranger's offer. Thank you," Maya said slowly as she reached out tentatively for a cookie. Breaking down barriers. As they shared cookies under the shade of the trees, Eleanor felt an unexpected connection forming between them. It was more than just two people sharing food. It was an opportunity for understanding beyond assumptions based solely upon appearances alone. "What are you reading?" Eleanor asked after taking a bite herself, her voice filled with genuine interest. "It's called The Secret Garden," Maya replied excitedly now that some tension had eased between them. "It's about this girl who finds this hidden garden and learns how to make it beautiful again." Eleanor nodded thoughtfully. She remembered reading that book years ago when it had first come out. It resonated deeply within both their hearts, now reflecting themes of growth, renewal, hope, amidst struggles faced daily. "That sounds lovely," Eleanor said softly, while watching Maya's face light up as she spoke passionately about characters within story, a spark igniting within young girl, reminding elderly woman just how important connection truly was, regardless age, background, circumstances surrounding them both. A moment of connection. For several minutes they chatted comfortably, Maya sharing snippets about herself, while Eleanor listened intently. Stories flowed freely like water from fountain bubbling joyfully nearby, creating atmosphere-filled laughter, warmth, kindness bridging gap between generations previously thought insurmountable. "I live nearby," Maya mentioned shyly after some time passed, between them both enjoying each other's company, despite initial misunderstandings stemming from preconceived notions based solely upon appearances alone. "I've seen you around here before," Eleanor admitted with a smile, now feeling more at ease than ever before. Perhaps this encounter wasn't just coincidence. It felt like fate, bringing them together when they needed it most. A new friendship. As they continued talking, the sun began setting, casting golden hues across Maple Grove, illuminating faces filled joy discovery, reminding them both how important human connection truly is, regardless differences separating individuals based solely upon societal expectations imposed upon them throughout lives lived thus far. Eventually, though, Eleanor knew it was time for them part ways. Yet deep within heart, she felt something shift. A bond forming between two souls, once strangers now connected through shared experiences, reminding them both how vital compassion and understanding remain amidst challenges faced daily. Reminding everyone involved always. United. They stood divided, they fell. A lesson learned forever, etched into hearts, minds alike, forevermore. "I hope we can talk again sometime," Maya said hesitantly, as they stood up from bench preparing to say goodbye. Feeling bittersweet emotions swirling around within both their hearts, knowing this moment marked beginning new chapter unfolding before them, filled promise, hope, possibility awaiting exploration ahead. "Absolutely," Eleanor replied enthusiastically, determination shining brightly within eyes reflecting newfound friendship, blossoming amidst adversity faced daily, reminding everyone involved always. United. They stood divided, they fell. A lesson learned forever, etched into hearts, minds alike, forevermore. As they parted ways, Maya walked back toward home, feeling lighter than air, while Eleanor returned towards hers carrying warmth, kindness, newfound connection ignited within soul. Reminding everyone involved always, united they stood, divided they fell, a lesson learned forever etched into hearts, minds alike forevermore. A chance meeting. As Eleanor walked back to her home, she felt a warmth in her chest that she hadn't experienced in a long time. The encounter with Maya had sparked something within her, a flicker of hope and connection that seemed to transcend their age difference and life experiences. She couldn't shake the feeling that this young girl had entered her life for a reason. Meanwhile, Maya walked briskly toward her apartment, clutching the cookie Eleanor had given her. She felt a mix of emotions swirling inside her. The brief conversation had made her feel seen and valued in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. In a world where she often felt invisible, Eleanor's kindness was like a ray of sunshine breaking through dark clouds. Reflections at home. That evening, as Maya sat at the small kitchen table with her mother, she couldn't help but share the story of her encounter with Eleanor. Her mother, exhausted from work but always eager to hear about Maya's day, listened intently. "Mom, I met this really nice lady today," Maya began, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "She lives in one of those big houses near the park. She gave me cookies and asked about my book." Her mother smiled wearily but warmly. "That sounds lovely, sweetheart. It's nice to meet kind people." Maya nodded enthusiastically. She was so friendly. "I think I want to visit her again." "Just be careful," her mother cautioned gently. "You never know who you can trust." Maya understood her mother's concern. They had faced their share of challenges living in a city that often felt indifferent to their struggles. But something about Eleanor felt different. She radiated warmth and kindness that made Maya believe this could be the start of a beautiful friendship. Misunderstandings resurface. The next day, as Eleanor sat on her porch sipping tea and reading a book, she found herself thinking about Maya again. She was struck by how quickly they had connected and how much she wanted to see the girl again. However, lingering doubts crept into Eleanor's mind. What if Maya was just pretending to be friendly? What if she was actually struggling and needed help? Eleanor's thoughts spiraled into worry as she recalled stories from the news about children living on the streets or engaging in unsavory activities out of desperation. She shook her head to dispel these negative thoughts. She didn't want to let fear cloud her judgment or ruin what could be a meaningful connection. The next encounter. Later that week, fate intervened again when Maya decided to return to Maple Grove Park after school. She had been thinking about Eleanor all week, the kind woman who had taken the time to talk to her and share cookies. As she approached the park, she spotted Eleanor sitting on her porch again. Gathering her courage, Maya walked over. "Hi, Mrs. Thompson," she called out cheerfully. Eleanor looked up from her book, surprise washing over her face as she recognized the girl from their previous encounter. "Oh, hello there," she replied warmly, setting down her book and standing up. "I brought you something," Maya said shyly, reaching into her backpack and pulling out a small bouquet of wildflowers she had picked along the way. Eleanor's heart melted at the sight of the colorful flowers. "These are beautiful. Thank you so much." She accepted them with both hands, touched by the thoughtful gesture. A growing friendship. As they settled into another conversation, Maya shared more about herself. Her love for reading and how books allowed her to escape into different worlds filled with adventure and possibility. In turn, Eleanor spoke about her own childhood dreams and how literature had shaped her life. "I used to want to be an author," Eleanor admitted with a smile, "but life took me in different directions." Maya's eyes widened with excitement. "You should write a book. You have so many stories." Eleanor chuckled softly at the idea, but felt a spark ignite within her, a desire to share not just stories, but experiences that could inspire others. "I might just do that," she said playfully. A moment of vulnerability. As their conversation deepened, Maya hesitated before sharing something more personal. "Sometimes it feels like no one sees me," she confessed quietly, looking down at her hands. "I know I don't have nice clothes or live in a big house like you do." Eleanor felt a pang of empathy for Maya. It reminded her of how easy it was for people to make assumptions based on appearances alone, something she herself had done before their first meeting. "Oh, dear," Eleanor said gently, kneeling down so they were eye level. "You are so much more than what you wear or where you live. You have a beautiful spirit that shines through." Maya looked up at Eleanor with wide eyes filled with gratitude. It was as if someone had finally acknowledged her worth beyond superficial judgments. Breaking down barriers. In that moment, barriers began to crumble between them. Both women realized they had faced struggles in their lives that shaped who they were today. They shared laughter over silly childhood stories, while also acknowledging deeper fears rooted within their hearts. "Sometimes I feel lonely, too," Eleanor admitted softly after pausing for reflection on how isolation affected both young girls' lives differently, yet similarly, at times throughout their journeys thus far. Maya nodded knowingly. It was comforting knowing someone else understood what it meant to feel alone despite being surrounded by people every day. A new understanding. As they continued talking, a bond formed between them built upon mutual respect, understanding compassion, reminding both women always, united they stood, divided they fell. A lesson learned forever, etched into hearts' minds alike forevermore. Eventually, though, Eleanor knew it was time for them part ways once again, yet deep within heart, she felt something shift, a friendship blossoming amidst adversity faced daily, reminding everyone involved always, united they stood, divided they fell. "I'll see you soon," Maya asked hopefully, as they prepared to say goodbye. Feeling bittersweet emotions swirling around within both their hearts, knowing this moment marked beginning new chapter, unfolding before them, filled promise, hope, possibility, awaiting exploration ahead. "Absolutely," Eleanor replied enthusiastically, determination shining brightly within eyes, reflecting newfound friendship, ignited within soul, reminding everyone involved always, united they stood, divided they fell. As they parted ways, Maya walked back toward home feeling lighter than air, while Eleanor returned towards hers carrying warmth, kindness, newfound connection ignited within soul, reminding everyone involved always, united they stood, divided they fell. Reflections on connection. That night, as Eleanor prepared for bed, she reflected on how much joy this unexpected friendship brought into life. It reminded her that connections could form anywhere, even between generations separated by time, experiences lived thus far. Meanwhile, Maya lay in bed dreaming about adventures shared with Mrs. Thompson, imagining all sorts possibilities awaiting exploration ahead, filled excitement, anticipation, knowing deep down inside. Sometimes friendships blossom unexpectedly, bringing light, darkness, illuminating paths previously thought obscured forevermore. A growing friendship. As the weeks passed, Eleanor and Maya continued to meet regularly in the park. Their friendship blossomed like the flowers in Eleanor's garden, each encounter bringing them closer together. They shared stories over cookies and books, laughter echoing through the trees as they explored their lives and dreams. For Eleanor, Maya was a breath of fresh air, a reminder that connection could be found in the most unexpected places. Maya, too, felt a sense of belonging that had eluded her for so long. With each visit to Eleanor's porch, she found solace in their conversations. The elderly woman became a confidant, someone who listened without judgment and offered wisdom from her years of experience. A day like any other one. Sunny afternoon, as they sat together on Eleanor's porch, Maya brought along a new book she had been reading, an adventurous tale about a young girl who embarks on a quest to save her village. "It's so exciting," Maya exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "I can't wait to see what happens next." Eleanor smiled at Maya's passion for reading. "You have such a vivid imagination, dear. I can see how much this story means to you." As they discussed the book, Eleanor felt a sense of contentment wash over her. The loneliness that had once consumed her seemed to fade away with each passing moment spent with Maya. She realized how much she had missed connecting with someone on a deeper level. An unexpected turn. However, amidst this newfound joy, an unexpected turn loomed on the horizon. One evening, as Eleanor prepared dinner, she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her chest. It was brief but alarming enough to make her pause. She brushed it off as stress or perhaps indigestion. After all, she was getting older. But as days went by, the discomfort persisted intermittently. Eleanor tried to ignore it, convincing herself that it would pass. She didn't want to worry Maya or burden her with concerns about her health. A disturbing discovery. Meanwhile, Maya began to notice changes in Eleanor during their visits. The elderly woman seemed more fatigued than usual. There were moments when she struggled to catch her breath or appeared lost in thought. Concerned for her friend, Maya decided to bring it up one day. "Mrs. Thompson," she said gently during one of their conversations on the porch, "are you feeling okay? You seem a bit tired lately." Eleanor waved her hand dismissively with a smile. "Oh, I'm just getting old. Nothing to worry about." Maya frowned slightly but respected Eleanor's wishes not to dwell on it further. However, deep down inside, she couldn't shake off the feeling that something wasn't right. A fateful day. One afternoon while walking home from school, Maya noticed an ambulance parked outside Eleanor's house. Her heart raced as she approached cautiously. Fear gripped her mind at the thought of anything happening to her beloved friend. She rushed up to the front door and knocked frantically. A paramedic opened the door and looked at her kindly, but with urgency in his eyes. "Are you here for Mrs. Thompson?" he asked. "Yes. Is she okay?" Maya replied breathlessly. "She's having some health issues," he said gently but firmly. "We need to take her to the hospital." Panic surged through Maya as she followed the paramedics inside. There was no way she could let Eleanor go without saying goodbye. A moment of courage. Inside the living room, Eleanor lay on the couch looking pale but conscious. Her eyes widened with surprise upon seeing Maya rush in. "Maya, what are you doing here?" Eleanor asked weakly. "I saw the ambulance," Maya said urgently as tears filled her eyes. "I'm so scared for you." Eleanor managed a weak smile despite her condition. "It's just a little scare, my dear." But before she could say more, a wave of pain washed over Eleanor's chest again. This time it was more intense than before. The paramedics quickly moved into action, checking her vitals while preparing to transport her. "Maya," Eleanor gasped softly as they lifted her onto a stretcher. "You have been such a light in my life. Promise me you'll keep shining." "I will. I promise," Maya cried out desperately, feeling helpless, watching them wheel away her friend toward the ambulance. A race against time. As they loaded Eleanor into the ambulance, Maya felt an overwhelming urge to follow them. She couldn't just stand by while someone so important fought for her life. She jumped into action, running alongside the vehicle, shouting for them not leave without taking her along. "Maya!" one of the paramedics called out. Kindly but firmly from inside ambulance window rolled down slightly, allowing him glimpse young girl's determined face, staring back at him filled with urgency. Desperation. "You can't come!" But before he could finish his sentence, Maya blurted out words rushing forth like water from bursting dam. "I know something. I can help." The paramedic exchanged glances with his partner, uncertainty flickering across their faces, but then nodded reluctantly, allowing Maya squeeze into cramped space beside Eleanor, who lay there, looking pale, anxious. The hospital. As they sped toward the hospital, Maya held onto Eleanor's hand tightly. She could feel how cold it had become. Her heart raced with fear. Uncertainty, wondering if they would arrive in time. "Just breathe," Maya whispered encouragingly, trying to keep calm, despite chaos surrounding them all inside ambulance-filled sounds, sirens blaring loudly, echoing thoughts racing through young girl's mind. Filled worry concern. Eleanor turned toward Maya, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're so brave." "I'm not brave," Maya replied, shaking head fiercely determined. not let fear consume them both right now. "You're going to be okay," a life-saving decision. Once they arrived at the hospital, the medical team quickly moved into action. Doctors and nurses surrounded Eleanor as they wheeled her into emergency care room, leaving Maya standing outside, feeling helpless once again. Time seemed to stretch endlessly, while waiting, anxiously pacing back and forth, unable shake off feeling dread, settling deep within heart, knowing how much depended upon swift action, taken by professionals inside those walls. Finally, a doctor emerged from behind doors, looking serious yet hopeful. "We've stabilized Mrs. Thompson for now. It appears she suffered from a mild heart attack. But we caught it in time thanks to your quick thinking." Maya felt relief wash over her like warm sunlight breaking through clouds after stormy night. It was as if weight lifted off shoulders knowing friend would be okay after all. A new bond. After what felt like hours, Maya was finally allowed into recovery room where Eleanor lay resting comfortably, now surrounded by machines monitoring vitals, closely ensuring everything remained stable, moving forward. "Hey there," Eleanor greeted softly upon seeing familiar face enter room-filled warmth, kindness radiating between them, both reminding everyone involved always. United they stood, divided they fell. A lesson learned forever, etched into hearts' minds alike forevermore. "I was so scared," Maya admitted, as tears-brimmed eyes feeling overwhelmed emotions swirling around within heart, knowing how close they had come, losing each other forevermore. Eleanor reached out, taking young girl's hand, squeezing gently, reassuringly. "I'm here now. Thanks to you." "But I didn't do anything special," Maya replied, shaking head, still feeling uncertain whether bravery shown earlier truly mattered at all, compared circumstances surrounding situation unfolding before them. Both right now. "You saved my life," Eleanor insisted firmly, looking directly into young girl's eyes, filled gratitude, admiration, reflecting back toward one another, reminding everyone involved always. United, they stood, divided, they fell, a lesson learned forever, etched into hearts, minds alike, forevermore. A promise made in that moment, a bond formed between them deeper than either could have anticipated. It wasn't just friendship forged through shared experiences anymore. It was something profound, rooted within understanding, compassion, reminding both women how important connection truly is regardless. Age, background, circumstances separating individuals based solely upon societal expectations imposed upon them throughout lives lived thus far. As days turned into weeks during recovery process, they continued sharing stories, laughter memories, creating new ones together, strengthening ties, binding them closer together, reminding everyone involved always, laughter and warmth. "Did you finish that book about the girl who saves her village?" Eleanor asked one afternoon, as Maya settled into the chair beside her bed. Maya grinned. Yes, she found a hidden treasure that helped everyone in her village. It was so exciting. Eleanor chuckled softly. "You know, I think you're a treasure too." Maya blushed at the compliment but felt a swell of pride in her heart. "I just want to help you feel better." Deepening connections. As they shared stories and laughter, their bond deepened. They talked about their dreams. Eleanor shared her long-lost aspiration to write a book, while Maya spoke about wanting to become an author one day as well. "I want to write stories that inspire people," Maya said earnestly, "just like yours inspired me." Eleanor nodded thoughtfully. "You have a gift for storytelling, my dear. You should never let anyone tell you otherwise." Maya beamed at the encouragement. It fueled her passion even more. She realized that Eleanor wasn't just an elderly woman. She was a mentor and friend who believed in her potential. The day of discharge. Finally, the day came when Eleanor was discharged from the hospital. As she walked out with Maya by her side, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The sun shone brightly in the sky, casting warm rays on their faces. "Ready to go home?" Maya asked excitedly. "More than ready," Eleanor replied with a smile. "But I want to make sure I take better care of myself from now on." Maya nodded vigorously. "We can do it together. I'll help remind you to eat healthy and exercise." Eleanor chuckled at the thought of this young girl keeping her accountable for her health. "Deal, and I'll make sure you have plenty of cookies as rewards for your efforts." A new beginning. Back at home, Eleanor felt grateful for every little thing. The smell of fresh air, the sight of her garden blooming with flowers, and most importantly, having Maya in her life. They settled into a new routine where they would meet daily for walks around the neighborhood or read together on the porch. One afternoon, while sitting outside in the garden, surrounded by vibrant blooms swaying gently in the breeze, Maya turned to Eleanor with curiosity in her eyes. "Mrs. Thompson," she began hesitantly, "do you think we could write a story together? About our adventures?" Eleanor's heart swelled at the idea. It felt like an invitation to embark on a new journey together, a journey filled with creativity and collaboration. "I would love that," Eleanor exclaimed. "What should we write about?" Maya thought for a moment before responding excitedly. "How about a story where two unlikely friends save their neighborhood from something terrible?" Crafting their story. And so began their writing adventure. Each day after school, Maya would come over with notebooks filled with ideas and sketches, while Eleanor would share her experiences, stories from her childhood that shaped who she was today. They created characters inspired by themselves, an elderly woman who had once been adventurous, and a young girl with dreams bigger than life itself. Their story unfolded like a tapestry woven with threads of friendship, resilience, and hope. As they wrote together, they laughed at their characters' mishaps and celebrated their triumphs, each word bringing them closer together as they explored themes of courage and community through their narrative. A community impact word spread around Maple Grove about Eleanor's recovery and her new friendship with Maya. Neighbors began to notice how often they were seen together, walking hand in hand through the park or laughing on Eleanor's porch. One day, while they were working on their story outside, Mrs. Johnson, Maya's mother, stopped by to check on them. "Hi there. I just wanted to see how you both were doing," she said warmly. "We're great," Maya exclaimed proudly. "I remember when my husband and I first moved here," Mrs. Johnson said, her voice filled with nostalgia. "We were welcomed with open arms by everyone in this community." Another neighbor chimed in, "And when we had that big storm last summer, everyone came together to help each other out. That's what makes Maple Grove special." Maya listened intently as people shared their memories. She felt a sense of belonging grow within her. This was more than just a gathering. It was a celebration of resilience and connection. A special announcement. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden light over the gathering, Eleanor decided it was time for a special announcement. She gathered everyone's attention and took a deep breath. "Thank you all for coming today," she began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I wanted to create this gathering not only to celebrate our friendships, but also to honor someone very special." She turned to Maya, who looked surprised but curious. "Maya has become an important part of my life over these past few months. She has shown me what it means to truly connect with someone, to see beyond appearances and understand each other's hearts." The crowd erupted into applause as Maya blushed at the unexpected recognition. "A gift for Maya," Eleanor continued. "In honor of our friendship and everything we've created together, I would like to present Maya with this." She reached into her bag and pulled out a beautifully wrapped notebook adorned with colorful designs. Maya's eyes widened in disbelief as she accepted the gift. "What is it?" "It's a journal for you to write your stories," Eleanor explained. "I know you have so many ideas in your heart, waiting to be shared with the world." Tears welled up in Maya's eyes as she hugged the notebook tightly against her chest. "Thank you so much. This means everything to me." Sharing their story. With newfound confidence, Maya stood up in front of everyone. "I want to share something too," she said excitedly. "Mrs. Thompson and I have been writing a story together about two friends who saved their neighborhood." The crowd listened attentively as Maya described their characters and plot, a tale filled with adventure, courage, and friendship that mirrored their own experiences. "I hope our story inspires others to see beyond what they think they know about someone," Maya concluded passionately. Eleanor beamed with pride as she watched Maya speak. It was incredible to see how far this young girl had come since their first meeting. A collective promise. After Maya finished speaking, Eleanor proposed an idea that resonated deeply with everyone present. "Let's make a promise today to continue supporting one another as a community," she said earnestly, "to reach out when we see someone struggling or feeling alone." One by one, neighbors nodded in agreement. They understood that building connections required effort, but also brought immeasurable rewards. "I promise," shouted Mr. Jenkins from across the yard, raising his glass in solidarity. "Me too," echoed several voices throughout the crowd, until it became a chorus of commitment ringing through Maple Grove. The power of community. As evening fell and stars began twinkling above them, the celebration continued, filled laughter, joy reminding everyone involved always. United they stood, divided they fell. A lesson learned forever, etched into hearts, minds alike forevermore. Eleanor felt overwhelmed by gratitude. She realized how much this community had come together not just for her, but for one another, creating bonds forged through shared experiences, reminding them all how vital connection truly is, regardless differences separating individuals based solely upon societal expectations imposed upon them throughout lives lived thus far. A lasting impact. In the weeks following the celebration, Eleanor noticed changes within herself and her neighbors. There was an air of openness among them, a willingness to engage more deeply rather than merely coexist alongside one another without truly knowing each other's stories. Maya continued visiting Eleanor regularly. They worked diligently on their book, while also brainstorming ideas for future community events aimed at fostering deeper connections among residents, encouraging everyone involved always. United they stood, divided they fell. One day, while sitting together on Eleanor's porch, Maya turned toward her mentor with curiosity shining brightly within those young eyes, filled excitement, anticipation, awaiting exploration ahead. "What if we host a writing workshop for kids in our neighborhood?" Eleanor's heart swelled at this idea. It was brilliant. They could inspire other children just like themselves, while also fostering creativity, encouraging storytelling, reminding everyone involved always, united. They stood divided. They fell. The writing workshop. With determination fueling their plans, Eleanor and Maya set out organizing details for writing workshop. Eager learn craft storytelling. They created flyers featuring colorful illustrations, showcasing themes, friendship, unity woven throughout, narrative crafted together during countless afternoons spent writing side by side. When the day arrived, the workshop buzzed with excitement. Children gathered eagerly around tables, filled notebooks, pens, ready to unleash imaginations, exploring worlds beyond what they thought possible. Eleanor led discussions about character development, plot structure, while Maya encouraged participants share ideas. Brainstorm, collaboratively, reminding everyone involved always. United, they stood, divided, they fell. As stories unfolded throughout afternoon, laughter echoed throughout room, creating atmosphere-filled warmth. Kindness, reminding everyone present how important community truly is, regardless differences separating individuals based solely upon societal expectations imposed upon them throughout lives lived thus far. A legacy of connection. As weeks turned into months, the writing workshop became a beloved tradition within Maple Grove, bringing children together, forging friendships built upon creativity, understanding, reminding everyone involved always, united. They stood divided, they fell. Eleanor felt fulfilled, knowing that her friendship with Maya had sparked something beautiful, a legacy of connection that would continue long after they were gone. Through their shared experiences, they had not only changed each other's lives, but also inspired an entire community, reminding them all how vital it is to reach out, connect, embrace differences, allowing love prevail over hate amid struggles endured throughout lives lived thus far. Looking ahead, as seasons changed, the bond between Eleanor and Maya remained strong. They continued writing together, sharing stories, exploring new adventures, while also nurturing friendships forged through shared experiences, reminding everyone involved always united. They stood divided, they fell, a lesson learned forever etched into hearts, minds alike forevermore. And so, underneath twinkling stars shining brightly above Maple Grove, their journey continued unfolding before them, filled promise, hope, possibility, awaiting exploration ahead. A year of change. As the seasons turned and a year passed since Eleanor's heart attack, Maple Grove had transformed in ways both subtle and profound. The community was more vibrant than ever, marked by a renewed spirit of connection and collaboration. Thanks to Eleanor and Maya's efforts, residents had come together to support one another, fostering a sense of belonging that had been missing for far too long. Eleanor often reflected on how her life had changed since meeting Maya. The once quiet house now buzzed with activity, as children from the neighborhood frequently visited to share stories and ideas. The writing workshops had become a staple in their community, inspiring creativity among young writers and encouraging them to express themselves. A special celebration. To commemorate the anniversary of their friendship and the impact it had on the community, Eleanor decided to host a special celebration. She envisioned a day filled with storytelling, games, and activities that highlighted the importance of connection and creativity. Maya was thrilled at the idea and immediately began brainstorming ways to make it memorable. Storytelling Contest. As the festivities began, Eleanor took center stage to kick off the storytelling contest. "Thank you all for joining us today," she said warmly, addressing the crowd. "This event is not just about celebrating our friendships, but also about recognizing the power of stories to connect us." "Let's invite everyone," Maya suggested excitedly during one of their planning sessions at Eleanor's house. "We can have a storytelling contest, art stations, and even a talent show." Eleanor chuckled at Maya's enthusiasm. "That sounds wonderful. We can also showcase some of the stories written during our workshops." With their plans set in motion, they created colorful flyers that captured the essence of what they wanted to achieve: a celebration of friendship, creativity, and community. The day of celebration. On the day of the celebration, Maple Grove Park was filled with laughter and joy as families gathered to participate in various activities. Children ran around with painted faces, while adults mingled over refreshments prepared by Eleanor and other neighbors who had volunteered to contribute. Maya stood at the entrance, welcoming guests with a bright smile. "Welcome to our celebration," she called out cheerfully. "We're so glad you're here." Eleanor watched with pride as Maya engaged with everyone who arrived. Her heart swelled knowing how far this young girl had come since their first encounter. She felt grateful for the bond they had formed, a friendship that transcended age and circumstance. The contestants lined up eagerly, children excitedly sharing tales they had crafted during writing workshops or inspired by their own lives. Each story was unique, filled with imagination and heart. Maya was one of the first participants. She stepped up confidently to share a story about two friends who embarked on an adventure to save their neighborhood from a mysterious threat. As she spoke passionately, Eleanor saw how much her confidence had grown over the past year. Maya was no longer just a shy girl, she was a storyteller in her own right. A community united. As stories unfolded throughout the afternoon, the crowd listened intently. Laughter erupted at funny moments, while tears welled up during poignant ones, reminding everyone involved always, united, They stood divided, they fell, a lesson learned forever etched into hearts' minds alike forevermore. After each child shared their story, the audience erupted into applause. It was clear that this celebration wasn't just about competition, it was about coming together as a community united through shared experiences, reminding them all how vital connection truly is, regardless differences separating individuals based solely upon societal expectations, imposed upon them throughout lives lived thus far. A surprise announcement. As dusk approached and twinkling lights illuminated Maple Grove Park, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Eleanor gathered everyone around for one last surprise announcement. "Before we conclude our celebration," she began with excitement bubbling within her voice, "I want to share something special." She gestured toward Maya, who stood beside her beaming with pride. It was time for them both to unveil their collaborative project, the book they had been writing together over past year. "I'm thrilled to announce that we've completed our story," Eleanor declared joyfully, "and we want to share it with all of you." The crowd erupted into cheers as excitement spread like wildfire through those gathered, everyone eager to learn more about this tale woven together through friendship, resilience, creativity, reminding them all how important connections remain amidst challenges faced daily. Sharing their story. Eleanor held up copies of their book titled Two Friends, A Journey Through Maple Grove, a collection of stories inspired by their adventures together, along with contributions from children who participated in writing workshops. Maya's eyes sparkled as she looked out at her friends and neighbors. This moment felt surreal, a culmination of everything they had worked toward over past year, reminding everyone involved always, united. They stood divided. They fell. Eleanor began reading excerpts aloud, her voice filled warmth, kindness resonating deeply within hearts' minds alike, inspiring those present, while also showcasing talents nurtured throughout journey taken together, reminding everyone involved always, united. They stood, divided, they fell. A lasting legacy. As night fell over Maple Grove, the stars twinkled brightly above, illuminating faces filled joy discovery, reminding them all how vital connections remain amidst struggles endured throughout lives lived thus far. The celebration continued late into evening, filled laughter music, storytelling, creating atmosphere, reminiscent warmth, kindness shared between neighbors, forging bonds built upon understanding, compassion, reminding everyone involved always, united. They stood, divided, they fell. In that moment, Eleanor realized this gathering wasn't just about celebrating friendships formed between herself, young girl who had entered life unexpectedly. It was also about honoring legacy left behind by those who came before them, inspiring future generations continue forging bonds built upon understanding, compassion, reminding everyone involved always, united. They stood divided. They fell, looking toward tomorrow. As guests departed that night, hearts filled gratitude, warmth knowing deep down inside. Sometimes friendships blossom unexpectedly, bringing light darkness, illuminating paths previously thought obscured forevermore. Maya turned toward Eleanor, with excitement shining brightly within those young eyes filled anticipation, awaiting exploration ahead. "What do we do next?" Eleanor smiled knowingly. She understood that this journey wasn't over. It was merely beginning new chapter unfolding before them, filled promise, hope, possibility awaiting exploration ahead. "Next," she said softly, "we keep writing our stories, together." And so, under twinkling stars shining brightly above Maple Grove, their journey continued unfolding before them, filled promise, hope, possibility awaiting exploration ahead.